Welcome to the Cool Lifting Podcast. My name's Theo, and this is your other host, Eric.
Yes.
And today we'll be bouncing off pretty much the other podcast episode, but this time it'll be coach/athlete relationship.
Mm-hmm. It is very much a relationship.
Yeah, it
and
is.
There can be breakups, and there can be messy breakups, and we don't want a messy breakup.
How many coaches have you had?
2.
Oh, yeah, right. And
2 like real ones.
you haven't had a messy breakup, have you?
It was like medium for the first one.
Oh, really?
But-
Okay.
But it's been a good relation. I've had a good relationship in my second one. They were both good relationships.
Yeah, I haven't had a messy breakup either. It's been pretty professional overall. I've heard pretty bad stories.
I've heard bad stories, and then there's animosity between the former athlete, former coach later on, and then I hear their side of the story, and I'm like, bro, this relationship is over. I don't want to hear it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are done. Why are we still talking about it?
I've seen like at meets when some meets haven't gone well for the athlete and like they're dating their coach and then like it's like so messy.
Oh, the dating the coach thing. That's a whole something else.
Yeah, some people can make it work, but I mean, actually, I'm coaching my girlfriend right now, but I guess it's more so she's not super serious in powerlifting right now.
Yours was after.
Yeah. Right.
I think
True.
Or what was it? I think the not dating, picking them up, and then dating.
Yeah.
Wait, is that the yeah? Because you were dating, and then picked them up, and then still dating, but not dating them at the start.
Yeah. Right.
And then dating them after is kind of weird. But that's not at all what this podcast is about. This is about business professional relationships.
Yeah. Back on topic.
Yeah, back on topic.
All right. So, what? Are we getting freaky this episode?
We're keeping this in.
Yeah. All right. What's a coach and athlete relationship look like for you? Or
So
what do you think it is?
for me, my answer is that the overall expectations that the athlete has on the coach and the coach has on the athlete are relatively clear for the most part, and then if anything is unclear on these, both the athlete and the coach are comfortable enough to ask, hey, I thought this was happening. Is this not what's happening? They're comfortable enough to ask, and they're not in a position where they're just not asking questions and they're just confused, and then they get unhappy with one or the other, whoever it may be.
Yeah, that's a good definition. Mine's effectively the same thing, but I have the overall quality of service and experience a coach provides to an athlete, including the expectations set and feedback exchanged. That is pretty much what a coach-athlete relationship is, just the quality of it. And why I say the experience a coach provides is because, like you mentioned, the coach has to set the expectations of what they think is allowable. Because some coaches, like me, and I'm guessing like you, a lot of your athletes are kind of your friends too. But there are a lot of coaches who strictly keep it professional, which is
Do you know
fine.
a lot of coaches who strictly keep it professional?
I know a few.
You don't need to name any.
Yeah,
I don't
I know
really
a
know
few.
too many.
Like, I think it's more so they kind of started off in that more friend sphere type of coaching, and then eventually it was like they switched over to a more professional type of a relationship, I guess. But I think that's more so like they're still like somewhat friends with their clients, but they're not like hanging out with them or something, or like inviting them out to something like that, where I have hung out with my athletes outside of the gym quite often.
Okay. Yeah. I think most people I know they're on a pretty friendly level with their coach. But that's also like part of the relationship is this good relationship. We're on a very friendly level. And then if we're on a level where we're talking shit about each other behind each other's back, whether whoever it is, then it's like, hey, I don't know how good this relationship is going to be.
Right. Yeah. I think a big part of that too, I guess what I mean by more professional is some athletes can, be more open to exchanging life events or something in their life. And for some coaches, they might just not have the capacity to deal with a lot of that type of stuff.
I mean, it does. Yeah. I saw this one coach a while back post something on their story, like they worked with like 50 people, and they pretty much said in a very blunt way, like, I don't have time to be hearing 50 people's problems outside of powerlifting.
Yeah.
And there is some of that. I mean, I'd like it to be, you know, if you have a big problem outside of the gym, I want you to be able to take care of that. Don't be asking me how to solve that problem. I don't know how to solve that problem. I know how to solve powerlifting.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think for me, there are some problems, though, that kind of tie in with your training. And you don't have to, like, overshare.
If it ties in with training, then it's...
Yeah.
Then it's a little more appropriate for sure.
Yeah. But I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Like, hey, it's okay if you share live details with me, or I might not be able to help you with these things, and I can't emotionally keep up with those.
Yeah.
But why is a coach/athlete relationship important, Eric?
Yes. So stuff like this is very important because it ties in a lot with the buy-in automatically. And a lot of these athletes who switch coaches, whether it's to me or to you or anyone, I'm sure they're excited at the start. They're excited to be working with a new coach. They're excited for something new. And that ties in with the amount of buy-in at the start. And like, let's say for whatever reason, an athlete picks up this coach that they really don't want to work with and they're really not excited at all about at the start. Like, how good do you think this first block is going to be when they're all in a bummy mood about this coach? But like with the athlete, you know, they pick what coach they want. So I don't know why you're picking someone you don't want, right? Yeah. But so a lot of people, you know, they're excited and then they're very bought in at the start. And whether this buy-in stays is up to the coach, but the initial buy-in, if the athlete just doesn't want to go with that coach, but they go with the coach for whatever reason, it makes things a lot harder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I've seen some athletes, you know, they start with their coach and then things are looking great from the start, but then as things go on, maybe their progress starts to slow down and they start like questioning, you know, if this is the right thing. And then they're not really sure if they're setting the right expectations for themselves, or maybe they think they can get more gains or something. But then they aren't willing to ask their coach, or maybe their coach isn't explaining things clearly enough.
Yeah, so both of those are very big for making this relationship work.
Yeah, so long story short, that's pretty much why it's so important. And then this kind of ties in with the next point, which is athletes should feel comfortable with their coach telling them the truth about their training. Do you feel like you ever had any athletes like kind of scared to tell you something, or like?
I've had athletes say something like, "Oh, I was scared to tell you this," and I'm like, "Why?" Like, just you know, now it's worse because you waited 2 weeks to tell me this. Just tell me it off the bat. But an athlete might try to hide a mistake or hide some pain, or maybe they ran the program wrong and they might just try to play it off like nothing happened, or maybe they're trying to run it in a different way than what was intended. They're trying to play it off like nothing happened, but this can go wrong very fast. And this ties in with how comfortable people are with each other. And if the athlete starts working with this new coach who maybe they're not excited about, they don't know at all. And this is kind of like an extreme example because I don't think that part happens too often. But if the athlete is in that boat, they might not tell the coach that much. And then it can become very messy because these two people are not on the same page.
Yeah.
We want to be on the same page.
Exactly. Yeah, I personally also had athletes who struggle with this because sometimes they just feel like they're going to let you down. Or something.
I think that's what it comes down to. But really, you're more likely to let the coach down by doing something like that instead. Because if we come clean with whatever is going on, you know, and sometimes if the athlete's in pain, it's not like it's your fault or anything, right? Well, maybe if you run the program wrong purposefully, that's kind of your fault. But these things can be fixed in the moment, but if we delay fixing them, then it can cause things to go wrong, and it can slowly mess up this relationship.
Yeah, and on top of that, I think a lot of this athlete-coach relationship has to do with your progress, but sometimes it can also be maybe you're feeling burnt out from powerlifting, and if you're kind of afraid to tell your coach, like, hey, like, I'm just not enjoying training as much anymore, that can be really bad too, because if you're just not enjoying your training, but you're doing all the right things, you're probably going to hinder your progress too, or just fall off.
Yeah, and the coach-athlete relationship does determine how long someone continues to power lift or how long someone continues to thug things out for whatever it is, right? And if the athlete is with a coach that they don't have a good relationship with, they might be more likely to, like, not everyone thinks of possibly switching coaches. They might just quit, when in reality, it's like, hey, maybe this relationship just needed to be a little better, or the progress needed to be a little better, whatever reason, like, however that came across. It's like, well, it sounds like you still want to power lift if your training was going better. And now we need to figure out how to get your training to go better.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of clients that are kind of like your day ones, like a lot of those athletes that you started with, are they still with you?
There's a good chunk.
Yeah.
There's, I have a good amount who are, I'm either their first coach or they had a coach who was very beginner, and then they ended up switching to me because they didn't really want a beginner coach anymore.
Yeah.
I have a lot of those people.
Same. I was going to say, I think a lot of that is a testament, I feel like, to how well your athletes feel comfortable with you. Exactly what you said. Like, they wouldn't have stayed with you for so long or stayed powerlifting if they didn't feel like you could keep them motivated. You know, well, I guess.
Yeah, there are going to be ups and downs, and there's downs that come with powerlifting with any sport. And it's like, do you want to have these downs with somebody you're cool with, or do you want to have these downs with somebody who you're like, this guy's an idiot? I really don't like my coach. It's like, yeah. So we want to make sure this relationship is good.
So the next point of why this is important ties into exactly what we said, because good relationships can lead to faster adjustments and better / longer progress.
Yeah. So if the athlete is comfortable with saying something along the lines of like, hey, I'm really struggling with this, then we can make an adjustment. But if the athlete is not comfortable with saying something like that with their coach, then the coach has no idea what's going on, and then the athlete doesn't really have a step in the right direction to go in, because they just never say anything.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think that one is pretty self-explanatory. Like, that's how it is from, like, me and my coach. It's like, hey, we tried this for a block or maybe 2 weeks. Things aren't working out as well. And he'll either explain to me and say, like, hey, like, you're just being unrealistic. Or he'll tell me, like, all right, let's make the change or adjustment.
Yeah, and with all these points, we're assuming that the athlete listening to this, you guys, have a good coach. And if for whatever reason they don't have a good coach, then the trust and the relationship can get dicey fast.
Yeah. And I think this whole thing too can kind of be tied in another video we can make of, like, how to choose a good coach. Just sign up with us. I think there's a lot of things that go to it, because obviously you want someone who is knowledgeable, then, like what you're saying, someone who meshes well with your personality.
Yeah, I think the meshing well with the personality is really big. And it's like once you get to a certain point, you have a really good coach and your training's been going well in the past, then it's kind of like, you know, like how much is, and let's say training starts to stop going well, like how much is switching coaches really going to help? Or is it like, hey, I really only need this one thing figured out, but I'm really struggling with this one thing figured out. Can I get this one thing figured out and then make things work with my coach? Because we just mesh really well together. And it makes things more fun and enjoyable because you're also texting this person 4 to 5 times a week for the most part for the next year or longer. And that is a long time to text somebody, right? There's friends we have, I'm sure that we don't text that often. So this is someone we're texting very, very often. And if, let's say you're texting your coach and your coach is, for whatever reason, just getting on your nerves every time you text them, it's like 200 times you're texting them a year. Like how are you gonna make that work? How's that sustainable? It's gonna be annoying.
I don't know. Some athletes in our last podcast just don't send videos on
I was thinking about that too. So for someone like that, if they send a video weekly, then or they send all their videos weekly, they get like 50 conversations in the year. But if they send their videos daily and they lift 4 times a week, then they get 4 times 50, so they get 200 conversations a week. And who's going to make more progress? The athlete who has 50 conversations a year or the athlete who has 200 conversations a year?
That's a good way to put it, because small things like that
is a huge difference.
Yeah, like people don't realize.
Crazy.
Like that's a huge edge on your competitors.
Like
if you're kind of in that situation.
Yeah. Luckily, one of my people who texts me weekly is getting better about it. They got a lot better about it.
That's good.
Because I think they just
I
think they just want to take it a little more seriously now, which is awesome.
Yeah, and I'm sure for some athletes watching this video this time, they might be going through finals and stuff. So the communication might have been a little bit more faulty, but now it's time to lock in.
It's time to lock in.
Okay, so how do we start by establishing good communication?
Yeah, so this usually starts where the athlete is interested in a coach for whatever reason, right? Maybe they know him in person, or maybe they just talked to them a few times and they're like, hey, I get along with this guy makes sense, this guy's helped me out, yada, yada, yada. Then they sign on, and then there's usually some sort of trust by default, just right off the bat. And the coach might say what their guidelines are, what their expectations are. Usually I say a little spiel about this is what I provide, this is how long I take to respond, yada, yada, yada. And I think the relationship can start off really rocky if the coach doesn't uphold their end of the bargain, whatever it is, whether that's clear to the athlete or not. It becomes messy when it's unclear to the athlete. Like if the coach doesn't say anything like that, or maybe the coach takes the whole day to respond, but in reality it's like, hey, 24-hour responses were part of this. Or if the athlete immediately expects to PR/be fixed. Like maybe they have some injury, or maybe they have some technique issue that's really bad. And stuff like that, for it to come immediately, it can happen, but it's like, what if it doesn't happen immediately, right? What if it takes 3 blocks instead of 1 block? Then it's like, are we still going to be able to have this trust? Are things still going to be cool?
Yeah, I pretty much agree exactly with what you're saying. And I kind of alluded to this before, but the coach needs to set clear guidelines of everything before you even communicate. And then for me, I tend to over-explain a lot of things when we first start.
Go through all of it. So, hey, if you have any questions about this, we need to talk about this now. Not 3 months down the line where things get rocky. Yeah, we didn't talk about it. But this is like any relationship. Like if you have a relationship with a partner, you're probably talking about like, hey, this is what I want long term. This is what I want in general, right? And it's like the coach is saying, hey, this is what I'm providing. And then the athlete is saying, hey, I want that. That makes sense. Or the athlete is saying, hey, your responses are weekly. I want daily. Maybe I go with somebody who's daily instead of weekly. Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we can move on because it ties in with what you're saying, and
just the whole trusting your coach aspect of things. And there's usually some trust at default, by default at the start. And this trust metric goes up and down with progress and what the coach says. So like, let's say the coach says something and it makes sense, then it's like, okay, I trust you because what you said makes sense. And then let's say the coach says something that makes absolutely no sense and for some reason isn't working, then it's a little harder for the athlete to have that trust with whatever coach. Because it's like, hey, you're telling me to do this thing and I'm doing it, but it's not clicking or things just don't make sense to me. And it is up to the athlete as well to make sure that they are understanding what's going on. And I think we talked about this on the last episode, on the feedback episode. Like whenever my coach says something to me that I don't understand, I don't really try and beat around the bush. I just say like, hey, I'm confused. I don't understand, because it's a lot faster than me trying to pretend like I understand.
Yeah, exactly. And also to tie in with that, sometimes, like the communication part should also be clear. Like, hey, like certain changes that you're trying to make, like a technique change, that might take you the entire block to like truly figure out. But some athletes, like their expectations might be something like, oh, like I feel like I can get this down in like a week. And sometimes it's just not realistic.
It's like we have to undo a year's worth of bad technique in a week. That sounds like a big ask.
Yeah. And then another big one I feel like is if an athlete is moving from one coach to another and they don't quite understand this system of training, and then like...
Yeah, that's another thing too.
Yeah, right. Like they'll, try to ask you questions about the system that they're currently on, but they'll apply stuff from the old one and be like, hey, why aren't we doing this? My coach said this used to be something.
That's a real thing. I've had that happen before. Like someone, they're with me, they're with the new coach, and they had a coach previously, and then they say like, oh, I thought it was supposed to be like this, 'cause this is what I did with my old coach. And then I just tell them like, hey, this is how we're doing it here. Here's the reasoning why. And if you have any other questions, ask away. But that is a real thing. And, this podcast is mainly about the athlete perspective, but it's kind of like with the athlete. Being an athlete, you need to just give the coach some time to cook.
Yeah. And
then if things are still really funky, like X amount of time down the line, then maybe it's then maybe that trust metric falling off is valid. But if it's a relatively new relationship, then things might need some time to work.
Right. Yeah. But the main thing too is like, you don't want to be caught in this space where the athlete feels like the coach's principles are incorrect or something.
Yeah.
Like you always have to, make sure it's clear.
Yeah. It's like as an athlete, it was your choice to switch to this coach.
Yeah.
And you kind of, I don't want to say owe it to them, but you just gotta have some blind faith for the first little bit.
Right. And just trust,
just trust them. And then we can see where this imaginary trust metric ends up lying. Like whether it's very high or whether it's very low after a few blocks, we're a lot more clear to see. We're past the honeymoon phase. But we need this. We need to just blindly trust.
Yeah, right. And
at the beginning.
I guess like some athletes just need to remember the stuff that you were doing before, it probably wasn't working up to this point. Yeah. You just have to trust that.
But that's why the athlete switched. Or I've had athletes usually switch because they're not making progress, or they switch because their coach isn't really upholding their end of the bargain. Which is this whole trust thing. It's like, hey, my coach said these programs will be on time. My coach said that he'd respond to me in this amount of time, but he never did. And yes, I'm making progress with this program, but I don't like how they're not upholding their end of the bargain. And then that's totally valid reason.
Yeah, right. Okay. And then that segues into this next topic of trusting during the hard times.
Yeah, this is mainly achieved when there have been good times and very fruitful periods of training. It's a little easier to be able to trust in these hard times because it's like, hey, in the past, my coach has led me to success. I've had good progress, like things have made sense, and the training has gone well before, then it can go well again. But when something like this happens right off the rip, right off the bat, then it's a little more, it's like harder to trust the athlete. And I've had this before I had this one athlete who trained on commercial gym equipment, and it was super bendy bar, all that. And then they switched to me. But also as they switched to me, they started going to this powerlifting gym. And then all this equipment hits really hard. And it's like, well, let me explain to you what's happening so you can trust me and you can trust that this hard time is happening pretty quickly right off the bat, but we're going to get out of it.
It's so funny. Like, I remember deadlifting on kilos for the first time, and I was like, this shit's heavy. Like, that guy was probably freaking out. Like, he thought he was like, I'm getting weaker. It's like, nah, dude. Like,
it was, he really got a good amount out of the commercial gym equipment. Right. But then it got better. It did take a little more problem solving, but because he trusted me and because I trusted him to ask questions and follow the program correctly, it worked out.
So this next point, I think this pertains more to the intermediate / advanced lifter, but also you have to remember your coach might not have all of the answers, but it's also important that you trust your coach, find someone who can get the right answer.
It's like I see it as in school, you know, you take a test and you have to have the right answers in your head already. You can't really ask anyone for help. But with this whole coaching sphere, I can ask whoever I want for help. And it's awesome. And it's like, who cares how this problem got solved? What matters is your problem got solved.
Yeah, right. And I think for me, in my head, this was obviously also program related, but I think a lot of this can happen more often when you're like injured or you have some sort of weird movement pattern. Unless
those are the hard stuff.
Right. Unless like you're maybe like a PT or you're an expert in biomechanics, that one can be a little bit difficult to pinpoint. But I think also a lot of people kind of understand like, hey, my coach has probably gone through maybe these ranges of injuries. And if I have like this weird thing, it's probably not common.
Yeah, and you can we'll talk about this a little bit more in a second, but you can ask some other coaches for advice as well. But it is, you just got to be asking, you got to ask the right people. Because it's like if you ask one coach and then they say some stuff, but then they also say something like, well, we can do this change, but then this program also has to get changed. Then it's kind of awkward because it's like, hey, I'm with this coach and he's writing my programming. You just gotta don't trust everybody for advice. Just trust a small handful of people for advice.
Yeah.
But trust them for really good advice.
Right. Okay. So I guess with that being said, all those things that you mentioned, how do you make the most out of your relationship?
Yeah. So a lot of what we talked about on this past podcast was feedback, but mainly just making sure that you're being honest with your coach and giving them daily feedback needed and giving them, like letting them know when things are going well, when things are going poorly, letting them know like what you think it is, letting them know how things are feeling overall. And that's the biggest takeaway from this, is just making sure you're doing your part to make this relationship work.
Yeah.
And then if you're still doing your part and things aren't happening or whatever it is, right, then it's a little different. But we need to make sure we're doing our part, because if we're not doing our part and then we go have a breakup and then we go get in a new relationship and we're still not doing our part, it's like, how good is that coaching athlete relationship even going to be?
Yeah, right. And to build on top of what you're saying, a lot of athletes too just need to make sure you're just accountable on a lot of the things that you can control, like sleep, nutrition, your steps, because you might be kind of asking yourself, like, is this relationship good for me? Like, I'm not making as much progress as I want to, but then you try to move to another coach, but you're still not on top of these things. You could still kind of funnel into this bad feedback loop and saying like, oh, all these coaches are, not doing the best for me. But like maybe you gotta lock in a little bit more on those things, like not only the daily communication and whatever, but also like outside variables, I guess, easiest way to put it.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess that kind of segues into this, which we talked a little bit about, and that's when the relationship gets tested. So
This one is when things get a little more dicey, and I've heard athletes, they'll talk to me about it, about their relationship with their coach, and it's mainly like maybe they'll feel like they aren't being heard. So when the coach isn't making sense to the athlete, or the athlete just feels dismissed, when the athlete doesn't know what's going on, like I'll have other people, they'll say like, hey, I'm really confused on what this guy's saying. It's not making sense. He's telling me to pull more slack, and I'm pulling more slack, but it's not working. And then when the athlete is asking other coaches or athletes who have different takes, maybe the parts of different family trees, for advice, then it's like, yeah, that person's going to tell you something way different than what we're currently doing. And it might be a step in the right direction, it might not be, but we really just want to make sure that we're trusting a solid handful of people, and we're not trusting everyone with our training. Like if we go up to 10 different people at the gym and we say, hey, my deadlift really sucks, what do I do? They're probably all going to say something different, and half of them are probably going to, more than half are probably going to say something that's like really, really dumb and really bad.
yeah, right. I think that one is a tricky one, because sometimes people just give that unsolicited advice.
Unsolicited, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. So for me, I really do not like giving unsolicited advice, because I know if I were to go up to somebody who's struggling and then I just give unsolicited advice and I say something, since I'm a coach, they might really take it seriously, or they might lose a lot of buy-in with their current coach. And I'm like, hey, I'll help anyone who asks me for help, but I really don't want to give unsolicited advice to people I go to the gym with, because like, why would I do that, right? There's a very good chance I do more harm than good in these situations. And I also don't know a lot of the context. That's another thing. I think I said this on the podcast before, but there was this one athlete at the time who had a different coach, and he showed me his program and was like, Eric, what do you think of my program? And I'm looking at this program, and it's taking me a minute to read everything of what's going on. I'm reading through it, and I'm tired, because I just did like a primary session, and frankly, I'm like, I just want to go home. But I'm reading through it, and I'm like, I don't know, man, it looks fine. And then he says later on, like, bro, Eric, I could see how you looked at my program when I showed it to you. Like, I know you don't think it's good. And I'm like, dude, I barely read. Like, I skimmed through, like, I didn't have time to read this program. That's a whole conversation. And even if I did have time, then we need to talk about this program. There's a whole lot of context going on.
Right.
But there's also many times where an athlete just goes up to another athlete, or they go up to another coach. They're like, hey, what do you think of my program? And then the coach/athlete responds in 10 seconds. Oh man, your program's missing this, this, and this. But really, there's a lot of context with this whole thing. It's easy to go in the wrong direction, and whatever athlete or coach that is giving you advice is probably doing their best, and they're still not they're not trying to do anything malicious lifts. They're not trying to do anything malicious, but it can just get messy.
Yeah, right. Because as we always talk about, too many cooks in the kitchen.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah,
and they're gonna make something stinky.
Yeah, right. And this one I feel like is a little bit tricky for some people, because I think for me it's easy to like ask. I don't think there's anything wrong with asking certain coaches for help, but like I also feel like I know who I can trust because
I know who I cannot trust.
yeah, exactly.
I know who I don't want to take advice from.
But also, like, there's a sphere of coaches who I feel like obviously my coach is heavily involved in like, other coaches, like Powerlifting Now, and that sphere of coaches you probably trust, and they bounce off ideas, and we kind of have that a little bit in our gym too. Yeah. And sometimes it's like you can get a general idea of like maybe who your coach trusts as well.
Yeah, that's very, very true.
Yeah.
And that they're a little closer with their ideas, so they might have something that's a little more in the realm of the same solution. But maybe you get a coach who is super West Side Barbell back in the day, you're asking them for help. Now you get some modern popular coaching methods, and then you get these not as modern West Side older methods. You're asking this guy for help. He's going to have a totally different answer, but his answer might actually make a little sense in the moment. And now because of that, we're not trusting our coach as much, and it puts this relationship in a slightly weird spot.
You know what's funny? Story time. So I had an athlete. She was under me, obviously, like craftsmanship system, submaximal. But she talked to this older gentleman at the gym, and she gave me a call, and she's like, "Have you ever heard of conjugate? Like, I think we should start doing conjugate training." And I was like, "Whoa! Like, how do you even know what this is?" And then she told me the story. And I had to kind of sit down and explain to her why, like, this programming style is maybe a little.
That's
bit
like the
more.
opposite.
Yeah, right. It's like the exact opposite.
What you guys do.
But it was so funny. That was a funny conversation. But
I think as long as you're talking with someone who is somewhat similar-ish,
yeah,
and makes sense, it's good.
yeah, and I think the biggest thing is if you and your coach have been together for a while, it's easy to get tunnel visioned after like, X amount of years. So sometimes it does require someone else to kind of take a look, but they also need to also have a very similar viewpoint to be able to apply the right changes or understand where your coach is trying to go.
I've seen athletes be with one coach, and then they ask another coach for help, and then that coach pretty much says what you're doing right now is terrible, and that makes the athlete question everything.
Yeah.
And that I've seen that, and then it gets super messy, and it's just really weird. We just don't want to be in that situation. We want to have a clear head this whole time.
You're not sabotaging everyone? No, I'm just kidding.
It's like they're unintentional sabotage, unintentional. Now this client is switching coaches to that person or another person when they didn't really need to. Yeah. And it's like, was that really the right decision?
Yeah. But I think that covers a lot of when a relationship gets tested.
Yeah.
I guess like other than that, maybe just like injuries and stuff, but I think that has more to do with athlete burning out, like, because it's hard to stay mentally in.
Yeah, the injuries, what are we going to say? I think it's more just like some injuries just take time.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, how are we going to heal everything in a day?
Yeah. Right.
Or in a week. We need like a block or two.
Yeah.
Or longer. for whatever it is.
Okay. So, what are the signs to end your coach-athlete relationship? When do you break up with your coach?
I thought this would be worth including. If you really don't see a future in making progress or learning with this person, and you're just like, hey, like this didn't work out for whatever reason, or hey, like this guy, I really don't see the same training eye to eye with him. And maybe if another coach is helping you way more than your current coach is helping you, but this is also like, is it that this other coach is helping you more, or is it that you're just not fully taking advantage of your current coach and asking them all the right questions
Yeah.
Which one is it?
I think that one I see quite often. Like,
Yeah, so this one's a little more like you still got to have some sort of this one's hard to have a level head during, but it is a real thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. To build on top of what you said, and we mentioned this one before, sometimes it's just as simple as your personality doesn't mesh well with your coach. Like they might get the programming and whatever down, but then
personality is a big thing.
Yeah.
Like with politics, even let's say you have a coach posting the opposite political views you have, or I don't even know if people know about politics. We have a young audience.
Yeah, right.
But maybe I didn't think of another. I don't know. We use politics as an example, I guess. Maybe there's one coach posting the opposite political views, and you're like, "Hey, I don't agree with those political views at all. Now we're not meshing well." That's a real thing. I've seen that happen too.
That actually happens quite often.
Yeah.
Like, under the radar, but like yeah.
But or maybe something like. I don't know. They're just maybe this coach. I'm trying to think of something that's a little more relatable.
Yeah, right.
maybe they're just posting on their story some really rude stuff about people, and then it's like, hey, I don't really want my coach to be a really rude person. I'm not a really rude person. I don't mesh well with really rude people.
Yeah.
Then that's like.
Yeah.
That's a literal relationship thing. That's like even a friendship relationship thing as well.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know if I want to be friends with you if you're just going to be talking bad about everyone in person or talking bad about everyone online. Right?
Yeah. I think another thing to build on that too is if you feel like your coach is like picking favorites, but like
I don't think coaches pick favorites.
yeah, like coaches don't really pick favorites, but sometimes people feel that way when like
people have felt that way for sure. I've talked to
it's like, oh, you get along with these athletes so much more than me. It's like, well, that's just because whatever. Well, that hasn't happened to me, but I've heard of it. I guess it kind of ties in with this too. Like, you don't like the way your coach delivers feedback. Like, maybe they're too aggressive or something.
Maybe it's not enough.
Yeah, right.
That's I've heard of that one, and that one could tie on the coach in a way, like if they feel like maybe the coach thinks everything is fine, but the athlete in reality does need a little more to just get that last little bit of efficiency. There is that
right
as well, but that's a real thing.
And then I think the last thing to build on that is if you feel like the quality has gone down or you feel like you're just another athlete. I've seen that too, where like it's not that they aren't checking the boxes of what they're delivering, but before maybe like the communication was really quick, but now it's not as quick.
I've seen something similar where the coach is coaching X amount of people, the quality is X amount of good, and then maybe the coach goes and gets a full-time job, or maybe the coach decides to do another business endeavor, or maybe the coach has a kid, and then they're busier, and the athlete is like, well, it's just I know my coach is busier. I don't know how I feel about that. I think if it's something a little more in the aspect of being a busier adult who still has coaching as their main thing, then I think it's up to the coach to say like, hey, this is kind of how it is. Like with office hours or something like that.
Exactly.
In a way, it's responding less, but it's also saying, hey, I'm still going to respond to you. I'm still going to give you very good responses, but it's going to be during these hours, and I want you to understand that, and I want you to know that.
Yeah, and well, on that too, like if a coach is a bigger coach, sometimes they have to like split federations right now, and like they might not be able to handle you at your USAPL meet or something. This is a lot more niche, but also like
I've seen this one popping up more and more. I think it'll continue to pop up as the years go on.
Agreed. Like for me personally, like I don't mind if my coach isn't there. Like I kind of know what to do on the day. Yeah. But like for some people, like if they're going to USAPL Raw Nats or Collegiate Nats and their coach isn't there, that's like a big hit to the relationship too.
Yeah, it's interesting. That could be a whole other podcast, but
yeah,
it's also like, in a way, if my coach doesn't spend $1,000 to come travel with me, that's a hit on my relationship. And I'm like, what? Bro, get it together.
Come on, Eric. Not rolling in cash.
Oh, man. It's interesting. Yeah. I personally don't think the handling is that big of a deal, but I think you and I both grew up in a time when it was more so a friend came to handle you rather than the coach.
Right.
Now it's the coach is expected to be there, but that's a whole other podcast. I think that's like one of the lowest things that matters, actually.
No, I agree, because like even when I have like a handler, I'm like, do I even need you?
Yeah.
Like, not that like I
thought
don't.
about doing
but,
a whole meet without a handler just to prove it.
No, seriously, because like,
I was like,
honestly, a lot of the time you can kind of like get other people to load for you anyway, because like there's so many coaches at like certain meets, and you're like,
yeah,
hey, can I work in? But
it's it should be, I guess, it should still be talked about, but I don't think the athlete should be that upset if the coach can't make it, because it does cost.
Yeah.
It does cost money. That's for sure.
yeah,
So,
right.
yeah, but next topic.
Okay, so how is your relationship with your coach or your previous coaches and you know whatnot?
Yeah, so I'll say for my current coach, I'll actually say, so I technically have had 3 coaches. I've had one coach who I was with for like a week or 2, and it was free. And then I had a second coach who was my first real coach, and he coached me for a few years. And then I had my third coach / second real coach, who has coached me for a few years as well. And with my first coach, the one who I didn't pay, who I barely knew, and who, well, they said it was free, so it's not like I didn't pay him. But who also I just barely knew. They were new to coaching, all this stuff. I started going on, and then I told him something like, hey, my back really hurts. I don't want a conventional deadlift. And I said something like, I want to go 5 times a week to the gym. And then he puts me on this program where I'm conventionally deadlifting, and then he puts me on this program where I'm doing 4 times a week. And I was benching like 225 or 235, something like that at the time. And then there was one day also where it was me doing a set of 5 at 135 on bench, really light. And all of this just did not mesh well with me at all, because I'm like, hey, I told you I didn't want a conventional. And in reality, I shouldn't have even gotten that guy, just because it's like 1, free coach, and then 2, I was hurt also, so it was weird. But I'm doing this thing that I didn't want to do, this conventional deadlift I didn't want to do. I'm going to the gym 4 times a week when I wanted to go 5. And then I'm benching extremely light on this day, and I don't understand the methodology behind it at all, because I partially didn't ask, and then partially I was like, this is like an RP2. I don't want to do this. I want to go up. And so I straight up, I told him like, hey, I'm not having fun. I'm going to do my own thing. And then, but that was like the expectations were all over the place. We didn't really have a call beforehand to discuss anything. We kind of just texted for a little bit, and then he wrote me a program. It was a lot of just not meshing well, and these expectations not being met. But there weren't even any expectations. Like I didn't say anything to him. He didn't say anything to me.
Right.
Very interesting. And then my first real coach, knew him for a while. It was good. But my second real coach, who I've known for like 7 years or so, I met him when I first started going to college, to UT Dallas, and even before he coached me, we were friendly on a good level. He helped me out a good amount, and currently I trust him to make the best decisions possible for my training. And if for whatever reason things start to stall out, which they have, because that's just kind of how powerlifting works, I trust that through us talking about it, we'll be able to figure something out that is a very good step in the right direction. And then I also understand that he is a busy person who coaches X amount of people. And as long as he gets back to me within 24 hours, I'm not too picky on response times or anything like that. I send him my videos, and in my mind, I'm like, hey, just get back to me whenever you can.
Yeah.
That's how I see my current coach-athlete relationship.
Okay. I feel like my relationships with my coaches, we like kind of nailed the head on all of the things about like problem in the relationships, but also it kind of ties in with why I'm with my coach, and we've been with each other for like a little over 2 years now. So I've had 4 coaches total. The first one was an influencer coach, and that one, he was like copy pasting the program. So it was kind of he was, when I asked for a change, he's like, we can't do that. But then I realized it's the same as some other athlete.
He literally can't do that.
No, he literally cannot do it.
Coaching has become more professional
Yeah.
over the years, and I try to have ours be like, there's some level of professionalism to it, as in like, hey, this is what you should expect. This is what I'm going to do, and I want you to know what's up.
Yeah, right. My second coach, he was actually a great coach. I made a lot of progress with him, but as we talked about earlier, he just started getting way busier, and the quality was dropping off.
I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
And
I had someone who had that. We don't need name names, but I had someone who had that same guy switch to me for literally the exact same reason. He was just like, dude, that guy is so busy. He takes like a week to respond to me, and I know he has all this other stuff going on. He's a good coach, but he's really busy, and I want someone a little more hands-on, responsive.
Exactly, because when I first started with him, it was within the 24 hours. That's what we agreed to in the communication, but then eventually it got way past that. And still really grateful because I made so much gains from him, but just the way things are. And then my third coach, actually the relationship was great, but what ended up happening was we had a disagreement in training philosophy. I think that's more of a niche type thing.
That's like a meshing well thing too, in a way. Like if maybe I pick up an athlete and for some reason they want to max out every single day.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, well, my training philosophy is you don't max out every single day.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, it's how well are we even going to mesh at that point?
Yeah, exactly. And then it tied in with the other topic we talked about, where I just felt like I was talking to a lot of other coaches and having their input on mine, because I felt like the feedback I was getting might not have been the best. But that kind of segued me into my current coach, Marcellus Williams, and not to like glaze him too much, but basically when I picked him, he was the kind of the coach where I knew I can have zero doubts. Like if I felt like something was wrong, he'd be able to figure it out, or it was on me to like do better.
Yes.
Because, he's a coach of multiple world champions. I've seen his problem solving. Like at that point, it's like, hey, if I'm not making progress, maybe that's a little bit more on me actually. So the accountability part was definitely there. But my current relationship with him, it first started more, I guess, serious because I didn't really know him too well, but I knew of him because he's a big name in powerlifting. But as a couple blocks went on, we became more friends. Like I definitely joke with him a lot, and I never had any issues with late blocks or feedback. And then now we have a weekly call because I started a mentorship with him about a year ago, and things have been really good. Like not really too much negatives. I would say, for me, I'm not really too picky on the response times, but he does get back within 24 hours. The feedback has been less critical, but I think that's just because I'm basically always in the flow state. So yeah, that's it for me.
I've had a good amount of people text me about flow state. And it's like, you only made like one reel on it. It's not like that's your logo or slogan or anything. But it stuck somehow.
Yeah, right. I predicted the meme. It's a meme now. I predicted it. Yeah.
But with both of us, me and Theo, it's like we do still have just good overall relationships with our coaches. We mesh well with them. We're on the same page with a lot of this stuff. Things make sense with. Like whenever my coach says something, it makes sense, and I'm like, cool, that meshes well with me, awesome. There's a lot of that, and that makes it easier to withstand the bad times, and it makes it a little more enjoyable because I'm also texting this person. Like, really, I train 5 days a week, but one of them is a super easy bench day, so I don't really send my coach that day. But so I'm texting my coach. I'm having 200 plus conversations with this guy throughout the year, and it's their majority good conversations. Right? I'm not trying to have 200 negative conversations with someone throughout the year. I think I'd hate powerlifting if I did that. It'd be terrible.
Yeah, I would say, even for me, like I was always with the daily communication 5 times a week, so I got over 200 on the first year, and then like in this last year, I felt like I learned the most I ever have having that weekly call. I'm sure you feel the same way. I know you have a weekly call with your coach as well.
Yeah, it's good.
So
We were talking about Pokemon a lot last one.
yeah.
That's about it. I was
My private team chat got leaked to my coach. That's that's been an interesting conversation with him, but it's funny. It's been good. So
Okay. Yeah, but that's about it from the relationship aspect. And I think to sum it all up, it is very much a relationship.
Yeah.
And we want to be in this coach-athlete relationship with somebody that we like and that we mesh well with. And of course, we want them to be a good coach / smart as well.
yeah, don't hate your coach, and don't be afraid to talk to him
Yes.
or them. But
Yep.
yeah,
There we go.
okay. Have a good one. You can follow us on Instagram and rate us 5 stars on Spotify.
Yes. Thank you.
Bye.
Usually with the fragrance
Yeah.
salespeople, they say like, "Oh, do you have any questions?" And then I say, "Yeah, what's your favorite fragrance?" And then they tell me, and I said that to this one lady working at the Creed boutique, and she was like really taken aback. She was like, like it took her a second to know what was up.
Just like regurgitated.
I just say that all the time. Huh?
Yeah.
'Cause I'm like, I don't want to have this awkward small talk.
Yeah. Do you like this one? Have you smelled this one? Percival?
Percival,
Yeah.
I like it, but
Not that big of a fan.
I think it's like a little too much for me.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I was gonna say, because
I don't dislike it, but it's kind of like the Sauvage-esque
yeah,
in a way, but it's got something else that's makes it different. I'm not a big fan of the something else that makes it different.
Yeah. Do you like this one? Have you smelled this one?
We just leave this all in the podcast. Is this like leather?
Yeah, it's my only leather scent, but I'm trying to get rid of it because
really?
my roommate got it,
Oh,
and I was like, well, I'm just gonna use his because he keeps his out there.
Rachel and I were at the Xerjoff booth, and you know how like those salespeople spray it?
Yeah.
The lady pretty much said, like, man, I'm tired from my shift earlier. You guys do the spraying. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm like, thank God. Give me that. Give me those bottles.
Yeah. No, hell no. I'll be spraying those myself. It's funny on my YouTube, in my top type of videos, like number 3 or something is fragrances.
I didn't see my YouTube thing, but I don't know if it was in my top 5, but for the first half of the year, I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
I don't know about it anymore.
You know how like when you open up YouTube now, it gives you the shorts?
Yeah.
I think it's because of that. Like it's always like a fragrance short that starts, and I'm like, oh, whatever.